Unbeatable story frame from 30-year-old newspaper case study that is still winning and generating sales nonstop. And using that, you will be creating your own winning story frame. So you have already experienced the quick win using pass frame, the pain amplification and solution. Now it's time to actually master that frame so that you can use it fluently, even in your sleep, to create any kind of client attraction pitch, conversation, or format, right? Whether it's one-to-one, whether it's closing the deals, whether it's one-to-many, whether it's client attraction content. Okay, so we'll start looking at the best example that I could ever give you. And this is a masterful example of one of the best advertisements ever written. The ad was selling the book called The Doctor's Clinic 30-Day Program. It was published in 1993, which is still sold to this day and is quite successful. Now, please click the link below and download the full PDF of the story ad. I want you to read it thoroughly before we go to the next session. And the story is very interesting. The story ad is interesting because the same storytelling principles still apply today. Because the good news is the human mind hasn't changed. Humans still make decisions using emotions and instincts. So read this entire ad thoroughly so that you can understand it and apply it using the next session when we dissect the entire framework. See you in the next session. If you are amazed by this ad story, or if you're wondering why the story worked so well, let's understand why. You see, it includes an entire money-making research that you are going to learn as well very soon. And because it includes the money-making research, this is what happens. The reader says, oh my God, this is exactly speaking to me. The reader also feels understood because it's harping on their frustrations, fears, desires, goals. It also develops the trust because it includes the features, benefits, handles all the objections. So when these three meet, the client says or wants to grab your services with open arms. And so this is where we will now use all your hard work that you would be doing in money making research and create such story frames for yourself. So there are three parts of the story frame. One is the headline, also called the hook or attention grabber, then the actual story frame, and then lastly the call to action. So we will work on 1 and 3 later in the advanced levels, but right now we'll master the real story frame particularly. Okay, so the frame is using the pass, but it's even using an advanced version of pass. So the ad talks to a real relatable human being. It's targeting to one person, right? A simple everyday woman, not a celebrity, not an influencer, a person, right? It also talks about the problem, the second P, right? It talks about the person needed to lose weight, and she wanted to live more freely, and the real problem wasn't just weight, it was emotional weight, etc. The ad also talks about the P, the pain. I tried 14 different diets and failed all of them, right? That's the pain. And by the time, she says that every reader who has struggled with weight whispers, that's me. So that's what makes the pain part, the P part, really magnetic. And then the ad turns up the heat, the humiliation, the exhaustion, the doctor laughing, the emotional trigger, etc. builds up. And it's amplifying the problem, the breaking point. The reader feels the pain and starts wanting the redemption. Amplifying aspiration, when she gently shows the light, like, the possibility, how my weight began to drop rapidly, went from, you know, uh, 200 to 135. So readers think, okay, maybe I can too. Now, painting the pleasure vision is happening. Then comes the story, the emotional arc where the moment her doctor laughed at her to the day she threw her old dress at him. And that's, you can really visualize it. And then the struggle is real, the detail that I feel at every diet. I wasn't optimistic, I was always hungry, things like that, right? So the reader can see the fight, not just the victory. Then the solution, then comes the turning point, that how my doctor recommended a new program, not a diet, but a system. So the tone is shifting now, the pain to possibility. So that's the bridge moment in every story. And then the third S, which is the system. Then she gives the system, how it works, why it's different, what makes it believable, and it's not about how much you eat, the combination, etc., etc. So this is crucial because without a system, your story is just a luck. In case of a consistent, scalable, and your offer, you want a system. Now the transformation, the before and after, the emotional reward story. So I'm not just thin, I'm free. So there's a lot of before after of various transformation happening, and the testimony is building more social proof. The second T, adding the stacking up multiple testimonies, the nurses, the brides, ministers, all credible, normal people. And it makes people think that, okay, the system is working for people like me. And then comes the offer lands, try it for so and so days, no obligation. And this is genius because they make the risk-free, clear, convenient, right? But offer can be serious, just any offer. It's just about what is your offer? What do you want us to do now? What are you offering, right? So these are just ways. This is one of the ways, making it risk-free, clear, convenient. Clarity in the offer is really important. And notice how even they're not listing features, they're just still selling the benefits, even in the offer. Losing weight easily, eat what you love, keeping it forever, things like that. And then comes the R, response. Finally, there's direct ask for action. To order, just ask your name, just send your name and the post-dated check, right? Simple, specific, no fluff, and with reassurance, right? So that's how you remove even the hesitation and gently guide someone to say yes. So when you look at this, it's not just a clever copy, it's story selling psychology. It takes the women's humiliation, her journey, victory, walks the consumer, the reader, through every step of the journey, right? That's why it still wins today. See, how do you make it happen? So let's again revise the framework. So we use step one, the person, the first P, 3 Ps. First P is person. Start with one real person, not your entire audience, one single individual. Who are you speaking to? Give them an image, tiny backstory, right? Pinpoint the problem, the specific problem that you solve. Be concrete, not abstract, right? And talking about the specific pain, one layer deeper, what pain, frustration in this problem is causing, and how it is showing up in their day-to-day life, right? And then the amplification, the pain and aspiration both. Amplify the pain, show what happens if they don't solve it. Amplifying their aspiration, show the life they dream of instead. And then comes the story, struggle, solution, and system, right? The storytelling core, writing the short story that mirrors your reader's struggle. It could be your story, your client's story, combination. The struggle, what was hard, the solution, what turned it around, and the system, how it worked, right? And then the step 6, which is transformation, right? Showing the before and after, what changed emotionally, mentally, physically. And if you have results or testimonials, add that too, right? Nothing builds trust like seeing the social proof. And then the offer. This is where you give them a clear opportunity. Like, don't just say that what they'll get, say what they'll become, right? And then there's also where you add details like what's included, how it's delivered, what makes it different. And the last step is R, the response, telling them what to do next. Be direct, be kind, don't be shy. Click here to join, comment wow, DM to enroll. People need clarity, not pressure. So your job is to guide them, not push them. All right. So now I want you to take this framework, build your own mini story, pick one offer, one transformation, and write it with using all the steps that we just discussed. And don't worry about the perfection, right? Focus on the emotion and flow. Done is better than perfect, always. Okay. Now you can download the framework also. Now, using this formula is like building a house with the help of an architect rather than trying to design and build everything on your own. So it speeds up the writing process, right? And it makes it significantly easier to write an effective copy. So once you keep using this framework, you'll automatically become fluent. And all right, so now it's your turn to do this. Remember, the story frame is always like an engine. Once your engine is solid, you can drop it at any vehicle, be it one-to-one closing a high-value deal in one-to-many frames like webinars, or even a client attraction content on social media. The format can change, but your story power doesn't. So go build that engine, fire it up, and let that story do the selling for you. In the following sessions, you will be having sessions on money making research, creating an irresistible offer, and spicing up your story. Once you go through all these sessions, they will help you make your story frame much better, much more effective. And you definitely, I wanted to give you this quick win of the frame right away. And then, so that you know what are you going to build, you have the vision, right? Some of you who already are very clear with your audience, who already have been working with clients for some time, you have an established business, you can quickly use this as a reference point. If not, I would recommend you to go through the following sessions on money making research, creating an irresistible offer, spicing up your story, etc. Perfect your story, and then come back here. Okay, so this is that. And remember, structure gives you the emotion direction, and emotion without the structure is chaos. So, but the structure without emotion is boring. And so this is going to help you balance both very beautifully, right? Awesome. Once you complete the sessions on money making research, creating an irresistible offer, spicing up your story, come back to the story frame, perfect it, and start working it in parallel with other activities, with other sessions, because this is how your story actually starts turning into real results. And remember, it's always evolution is a process. So done is better than perfect. You'll never be able to create the perfect engine right away. It will require iterations. So coming for these live audits, booking a consult, and taking support during the process with your success enabler will really help you win. Talk to you soon. See you in the next session.